It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. Hello, how are you guys doing this evening? I hope that you and yours are doing well. I hope that you guys are having, or the holidays aren't too stressful. I know my wife was kind of having a hard time with some things and she posted on social media. If you guys don't already follow her, I would highly encourage you and or your significant other, your spouses, to follow her. It's at HVACR wife, all one word, on Instagram. She commonly posts about, how she deals with the struggles of being married to an HVACR service technician, business owner, and all that good stuff. And she talks about the stresses and different things. For the people that are just chiming in, I'm talking about one of my wife's social media platforms, at HVACR wife on Instagram. Encourage you to follow her and check it out. It gives an interesting perspective on things. Now, remember, there's always two sides to a story, right? And she tries to be as open-minded as possible, but she also posts about her struggles and her frustrations, things like how when we have to go out, we have to take two cars, like to almost everything. We're going to a family dinner, we have to take two cars. It's very rare that we actually travel in the same vehicle because I'm always worried that I'm going to get an emergency service call. This trade is definitely a difficult one to navigate. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but welcome to everybody that's in here. Thank you so very much for coming to the live stream. A little intro, because I know there's a lot of new people in here. My name is Chris, and I'm an HVACR service technician here in Southern California. I make these videos. I started making them originally for my own service technicians, and then it turned into a whole thing and became this international thing where I'm, talking to people all around the world. And it's a very interesting, very humbling experience. I am just a normal service technician. I don't necessarily see myself as anything special. Honestly, I'm probably my own worst enemy when it comes to critiquing myself and stuff. But, I try to learn something new. I try to share the little bit of knowledge that I have. So got a lot of cool people in the chat right now, as usual. This is awesome. Hello to everybody. So we have as usual, if you guys have any questions that you want me to cover or things you want me to talk about, I encourage you to type into the chat, but in caps lock. Make it all capital letters. That's the way that we kind of differentiate between questions that people want me to answer and then just conversation within the chat. If you guys are watching this on a TV or something and you don't understand what's going on, I highly encourage you while watching it on the TV to pull up the YouTube thing on your phone and look at the live chat, because there's a whole conversation going on, sometimes about what I'm talking about, sometimes about whatever, any other stuff too. But it's always cool and pretty engaging. So if I fail to answer your question, feel free to keep reposting it until one of my moderators and or myself tells you to stop. And if I miss your question altogether, feel free to send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com. Okay. My family and myself, cross our fingers, are doing good. We are healthy. We're getting ready for the holidays. It's the countdown for sure. Things are a little stressful trying to get everything dialed in. I believe, in talking with my wife, she made the last purchases for our Christmas dinner tonight and things like that. We do usually untraditional. This year we're kind of going traditional. So I don't do turkey. I'm just kind of burnt out on turkey. So for Thanksgiving, we did like a seafood boil with crab and shrimp and, all that stuff. We just have one of those big Louisiana style pans that you cook it outside. And then for Christmas this year, my kids requested that we do a tri-tip of all things, which is a little odd, but that's a Southern California cut usually of, a roast that you cook on the barbecue. And then also they wanted ham and, the traditional potatoes and all that good stuff. So we're going to go somewhat traditional for our Christmas dinner. So my wife was able to pick up most of that stuff. I think we're going to do, the other thing we're going to do, which is a little unique for our dinner, is we're going to do artichokes. So my family really likes artichokes. We'll steam them with garlic and then we'll cook them. We'll cut them in half and then cook them on the barbecue, actually. So we're going to do that along with our other stuff that we're having. So I hope that everybody out there is, doing good, and hopefully you guys are getting all ready and it's not too stressful for you, like I said earlier. So let's see. HVACX says, what trade school or magnet school did I go to? So I went to Mount San Antonio Community College. They have an HVACR trade program. Honestly, I never finished the program. I'm shy of 2 classes, which I know I need to go finish those so that way the school gets credit for me. It's been many years, but yeah, Mount SAC is what it's abbreviated to, and that's where I went to. It's probably still considered one of the better community college programs in Southern California. They have a great program, great instructors, and most of my technicians that have worked for me also went to Mount San Antonio Community College too. Let's see. There you go. Jason Johnson says he's stepping it up for Christmas. He's going all out on the Taco Bell menu. That's awesome. So while we got everybody in here, I want to go ahead and cover this. So last week, we had an interesting live stream where a good buddy of mine, my buddy Rich, I don't know if he's in the chat tonight. I know he was in there in the very, very beginning, but we had some very, very generous super chat donations to the channel. And last week, what I did was my buddy Rich had mentioned that he would be willing to match any donations, basically the same amount. He was trying to encourage people to donate to my channel, essentially, and then he was saying whatever they donated, he would match that and donate it to charity. But I one-upped him and went ahead and donated everything to charity from last week's stream. So it was very cool, and I look forward to being able to do that again. Rich and I have already got plans for sometime next year. We'll work something out like this and do like a big charity stream or something like that. But I did want to say that I made the donation. So last week, the grand total in super chat donations to the channel was in excess of just around $700, and I went ahead and rounded it up myself to $1,000 and donated it to the Sunshine Kids charity. So sunshinekids.org is the name of the charity that I chose. They help cancer patient or cancer or they help children going through cancer to just kind of make it a little bit more comfortable, to make sure that they're entertained. I did a little bit of research quickly. I didn't spend a bunch of time, but just looking at different charity websites and figuring out which ones actually give majority of the money. And the sunshinekids.org got very good ratings from multiple different websites saying that they actually donate a lot of their stuff to the kids instead of it going to, you know, salaries and different things like that. So that was the charity that I chose, and it was really cool. And my buddy Rich also donated his agreed amount. He donated $1,000 to that charity. So basically, on behalf of HVACR Videos, we were able to give $2,000 to that charity. So I have to say thanks so much to my good buddy Rich. That was a really cool thing, and we totally, yeah, we totally look forward to doing that next year. That's really nice of you, Laska. So I really appreciate that, bud. All right, so let's see what we got going on in here. Let me get to my stuff we got going on in here. So I wanted to talk about the most recent videos that we had. That was, you know, the last week. We had the reactive maintenance can be risky. That was an interesting one. And then I can't seem to shake the sticky booger off. That was the name of the stream or the video. So both of those videos really had to do with the customers not doing proper preventative maintenance and not maintaining their equipment. And unfortunately, that's something that's happening more and more. This time right now, it's you know, it's hard to make money in the restaurant industry, and so they're usually cutting back on routine maintenance and different things like that, and it leads to issues. So it's a pretty common thing. It's just something we have to learn to deal with, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in here. I've got a whole list of things I want to talk about, and then definitely want to get to more of the questions in the chat too. So let's see what else we got. I really appreciate that, Samuel. That is an amazing donation. I much appreciated, bud. Okay. So let me see. So in my recent video, that was, I can't seem to shake the sticky booger off. Okay. That video was a return visit to a customer that I have previously changed a compressor on. And in the video this time, we had an evaporator coil that was iced up. It had a fan speed controller that had failed, and I did not do anything but bypass the controller. Let me explain a few things in there. I am not in the habit of bypassing things just to bypass them. Okay. I can only do what the customer's willing to pay me to do. Okay. In that situation, again, I can't go into crazy detail right now, but that particular customer didn't want to spend any more money than he had to. And he just wanted it fixed and back and working as fast as possible. So I was suspect of the fan speed controller in the beginning, but then it seemed like it started to work. I thought I found an issue where the thermistor came loose, and I do not like anything about that system. But I went ahead and found that the controller actually was faulty. Now, was it just a controller or the thermistor's bad? It's hard to say, but the customer didn't want to do anything else with it. Once I explained everything to him, he simply said, just make it work. I don't want to replace anything. So I was able to just bypass the fan speed controller and get the fans to run on full speed. Now, I do want to address things. First off, that customer did not pay for that fan speed controller or any of the evaporator fan motors in either of the two evaporator coils. That was paid for by the local utility as part of a rebate program or whatever. It's basically paid out of our tax dollars. They go in, the local utility, they want to incentivize people to do energy efficiency upgrades to their places, so they pay for things like, on the commercial setting, evaporator fan motor replacements, ECM motors, plastic fan blades, all this weird stuff. Okay. So honestly, I'm going to tell you guys that if the customer had to retrofit his own equipment and install a fan speed controller, replace all the fan motors, go to 2-speed ECM motors and all that fancy stuff, they would not do it because the return on investment is not there. The failure rate of those motors, the iced up evaporators that they run into with those 2-speed motors and stuff, it just becomes a problem. So I want to talk about those iced up evaporators too. On those evaporator coils, that's a air defrost medium temperature box. We need those fans on high speed. I had a few people in the comments saying, no, you want the fans on low speed. No, you don't. You want them on high speed. And then I also had some people saying that, you know, you want them on low speed so it doesn't blow the water off the coils. Well, there's a problem if you have that much water on the coils, and you need to solve that problem. These evaporators were meant to run with the fans on high speed all the time, so that way they can defrost appropriately. If they wanted to, you know, run them on low speed, they really should design them with a bigger fins per inch design, so that way the spacing between the fins is wider. Then they wouldn't get as much condensation blowing off in those situations. But that's a whole nother issue that you have to deal with, because you could lose efficiency when you do that and stuff like that. So, you know, it's kind of a bummer when you come into these systems and they have all this, you know, fancy energy efficiency stuff, and then, you know, the customer doesn't want to fix it and you end up having to bypass it. Of course, I want to replace the energy efficiency stuff. I mean, think about it like this, guys. I'm a business owner. If I want to make money, right, and the customer has a bad part that they wanted installed, some energy efficiency thing, of course I want to change it, right? But in all reality, you know, I mean, if the customer asks me my honest opinion, I'm going to be fair and honest with them and tell them, like, I don't think it's really worth putting this stuff on there, because majority of the time the return on investment just is not there. Okay, so, you know, you can go where that with you want. So let me see what else we got going on here. Kevin Schmidt says that his family wanted brisket. You know, I thought about cooking a roast of some sort, but I don't know. I just didn't really want to go that far with it. I was going to Alaska again, man. Nate Peterson, thank you very much for that super chat, man. You guys in these super chats is amazing. You guys are awesome. It's very humbling that you guys would consider donating like that. So it's really cool. Let me see what else we got going on in here. Let's see. The fans and heaters, yes. And that decision is not the tech's to make. That is true. You know, it's all up to the customer and what they want to do. So for those that celebrate it, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody out there. If you do not celebrate it, happy holidays. You know, this is a time of year when I really think, especially right now, we need more kindness. So it's very important. Okay. Also, let's address that one too. So if you guys didn't already see it, I released a video last week. I think it was last week. Was the kindness video last week? I think it was. Anyways, I released my kindness video, and that was something that I wanted to do. I don't think I really talked about that yet. So that was something that I wanted to do for a while. It was a big secret that I've been keeping all year. And what I had done was I asked a question on my social media, you know, if anybody had done any random acts of kindness, did it a couple months ago. And we were able, I wish I could have picked more, but we were able to pick 20 people that have answered my questions between my platforms and all my friends that had also posted it. And we picked 20 people, and we all, between myself and True Tech Tools, I put in $6,000. True Tech Tools put in $2,000. So we were able to have $8,000 in gift cards. So we were able to evenly divide that up. So 20 lucky people got $400 gift cards to True Tech Tools. So that way they were able to purchase whatever tools they want within that amount. So it was a really cool thing to be able to do, and I hope to get to do it again. Again, I can't remember if I talked about that last week or not, or it might have got overshadowed with the whole super chat thing last week. But yeah, that was a really cool thing to be able to do. And I have made contact with everybody. Everybody actually accepted the gift cards, and majority of people have already used them. One person actually, I'm in contact with him right now, talking back and forth, but he actually is, well, I'm not going to announce that yet. But anyway, so we'll get to that. Let's see what I miss. In the chat. Have I ever had an AC that I couldn't fix? Yeah, I mean, we usually bring it up to the customer and let them make a decision on whether or not they want to fix it. You know, sometimes, I mean, is it a matter of could I not figure out what was wrong with it? I don't think I've ever had an AC that I told someone else to call someone else, but I have had ACs that the repairs were so extensive that customers, I basically just told them, just replace this thing, you know, stuff like that. So let's see. Laska's saying that he's making apple pie. So actually in my house, I make, it's like a family tradition. My grandmother used to make it, then my dad started making it, and now I make it. It's actually a cream pie. And it's a little different because it's kind of it's hard to say. It kind of tastes like you're eating a big sugar cookie, I guess is the best way to describe it. It's a vanilla cream pie. It has a standard pie crust, and it's super yummy. It's not custard. It's not pudding. It's got a thick consistency, and it's just a very interesting, unique taste. And that's a tradition that I probably will be doing this Christmas, is making my cream pies. Those usually take, you make the pies the day before, you let them sit, then you do a meringue on them. It's kind of a fun thing that's turned into a family tradition. So I'll be doing that. Let's see what else we got going on in here. At the end of the Sticky Booger video, what was that really? Was it really a house fire? Honestly, the last clip that I showed, when the hook and ladder truck was pulling up, the fire was already out, whatever it was. I don't think it was a house fire because it wasn't coming from the eaves of the house. You guys only saw little clips, but I was up there for a while watching that smoke. I honestly think that someone was like, maybe had a grease fire and a barbecue or something like that. That's what it looked like to me, because it smelled like someone was barbecuing food the whole time. So there may have been a grease fire and a barbecue. It wasn't a car fire. There was never black smoke. It was always white smoke. So it's interesting. I don't know what it was, but the house did not burn down or anything like that. The fire trucks were probably there for a total of 20 minutes. So they were in and out. So the homeowner or the tenant of the house must have already had it out by the time the fire department really got there. So let's see what else. Did I find out any more information? Oh, I already said that in that one. I already answered that one. Yeah, I will definitely try to take some family time. All right, let's see what else. Of course, I make cream pies during my pineapple. Alaska. I'm not going to read the rest of that one. That's funny. So I wanted to share something with you guys, with everybody that's watching right now. And then I've got a couple more things I want to cover. I know I have some things I told people I'd talk about. So I just kind of want to talk about the state of the channel and where things are going. I was sending some emails out today to sponsors and people that I work with and stuff with the videos, and I just kind of wanted to address things on the channel too. No big changes are happening or anything like that, but I just kind of wanted to say what my future plans are with the channel for this upcoming year, in hopes that you guys can hold me accountable for this stuff too. So number one, we added a lot over this last year. We've added several more social media platforms to the HVACR Videos brand. So with HVACR Videos, I am active now on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I have a Twitter and a LinkedIn, all on HVACR Videos. Then we do plan on pushing the HVACR Tools platform a little bit more this year. So HVACR Tools is a platform that my friends and I are doing, and we're doing tool reviews, but with a twist, kind of like our way. We've done a few of them, but we've kind of like petered out a little bit because we all got busy, but I plan on focusing on that a little bit more. Obviously, my wife started a platform, HVACR Wife, on Instagram. There's also a Facebook page, but she hasn't posted anything on Facebook. We do have some future plans for that. That's where she shares about her daily struggles and daily life and how she deals with things. It's a great community for spouses to get together. But I also noticed that on my wife's platform, in the comments, there's also several technicians that also comment, wow, I didn't realize my wife goes through this too. So it's a great place for both the technicians and the spouses to interact and see, and communicate with other people. It's a cool little like-minded group of people. So check it out. Also, potential future plans is, to maybe start a podcast. That's always been something that I've wanted to do. I actually already have a very unique name picked out. I'm not going to announce it yet, but it's out there. I think I might have mentioned it before, but the podcast is something that I might be doing. It'll be an interview show, a little different than the overtime thing. More serious, but just a different twist on it. So that's something that I potentially want to work on. And I also have been reaching out and announced on social media too that I planned on hiring some help to help me with it and all that stuff. So stay tuned with all that stuff. It should be cool. What tool video ideas do I have? Oh, I have all kinds, man, but I'm not going to go too far into that right now. I want to get to a few things that I said I was going to talk about. Okay. So, Wilfred is from the Netherlands, and he had asked me a question, and I get a lot of these questions, okay? So I have international viewers, and I tend to get these from the European viewers more than anywhere else in the world. Why in the heck and how can I ethically still use R22, 404, and all these different refrigerants that are banned in the European countries, okay? So first and foremost, to understand for the international viewers, here in the United States, it is not illegal to use R22, okay? It is illegal for a manufacturer to produce brand new R22 in the United States, and it is illegal for anybody to import brand new refrigerant, R22 refrigerant, into the United States. But we have a massive surplus of it, and we can also use reclaimed refrigerant. So the refrigerant that we recover out of the R22 air conditioners and we take it to the supply house, they refine it, they clean it, they package it and sell it to us again, and then we can reuse that. So you can still use that R22. So why do I still use it? Is it unethical for me to use it? I don't think it's unethical for me to use it. I definitely know that if vented to the atmosphere, it can be bad for the atmosphere for sure. Okay. But we're still able to use it, but the expense of it is getting ridiculous. The prices are going sky high. Same thing with 404. 404 is being phased out. Any 400 series refrigerant, for that matter, is being phased out. 448A, for insert flavor here, all of them are being phased out eventually. They all do something bad to the environment. So it's just, we're still working our way through the phase out of those refrigerants. So you're going to see less and less of it. There's a push to get rid of 404 here in the coming future. California 404A refrigerant is already being phased out, meaning that you're not allowed to use it on new installs, major retrofits or anything like that. So it's all being phased out, but it's just a slow process to get to that point where we're going to eliminate it completely. Okay. Jesus Tapia asked what brand I want to go with my home air conditioner, because I have been talking about upgrading my home AC system, and he's curious what brand I want to go with. Honestly, I am up in the air on what brand I want to go with. I've gone in a bunch of different directions in my head. I've thought about going multi-zone mini splits all throughout my house. I've thought about going, full communicating spaceship status controls and things like that. I've thought about doing a total hybrid system that I made myself, dual fuel, not that I need it, but I mean, I've thought about doing it, all that different stuff. I've thought about going all electric, all gas. I'm all over the place. I've thought about putting in a crazy inverter system, or doing a half inverter system with like whatever brand where you can buy just the inverter condensing unit and, use whatever evaporator. I've gone all over the place. I really haven't made a decision yet. Eventually I will work on that. So let's see what else we got going on here. What am I missing in here? All right, cool. Nothing yet. So next question. I had a really interesting email and I want to address this. A gentleman named Ian reached out to me because he has some very interesting filtration questions. Now, Ian fully acknowledged in the emails that he realizes that I am not an expert when it comes to the world of high-end residential air conditioning systems. I have general knowledge of it, but he fully acknowledged that in the email, okay? But he was very curious on the commercial side about air filtration and different things like that. So Ian has major issues where he needs extremely clean air in the home. I'm not going to go any further than that. And he's having a new construction build done right now, and he was asking me about HEPA filtration and different things like that. And I immediately emailed Ian back and said, look, here's the deal, because I read his email incorrectly. I thought he was just asking about air filtration. He was not. But I want to address something right now because I get a lot of homeowners that watch these videos too, and I want to address this. Okay, first and foremost, I am not a believer personally in these gimmicky style air cleaner machines, and Ian's not asking about that, but I'm just making this a whole question. I'm not a believer in the gimmicky air cleaners and all these different weird UV lights and different things like that. Okay. I'm a believer in fresh, clean air. I'm a believer in filtered air, and I'm a believer in solving infiltration issues in your house. So that way you don't have to worry about filtering so much of the air. Okay. So that's, let me say that from the beginning. Okay. I'm not judging anybody if they, use these air cleaners, these UV lights, these whatever things. Okay. It's just not my style of things. I'm a believer in fresh, clean air and going from there. Okay. So first and foremost, and this is where I thought Ian was asking me a question, but he actually wasn't. But I thought he was saying that he had an existing home and he wanted to put a massive air filtration system on it. So the original response email that I sent to Ian was, dude, let's address your envelope first. Okay. Basically, let's look at the home. Let's do blower door tests. Let's find where your infiltration problems are. Then let's correct those, then go down the filtration path. And the reason why I bring that up is because if we have a home that is leaky and has a lot of leaks, if you put a massive filtration system on there, it's just going to be spinning its wheels trying to filter all that air as it's sucking it in all the cracks of the house. Okay. So solving your envelope problem, sealing up the house, making it, tight, right? So that way you don't have very much air leakage, then go about addressing your filtration problems. So then I reread Ian's email and I realized he was doing a new construction. So this is a brand new build, and he's got engineers involved that are telling him that he should look into humidifiers and all these different things, which are all good things because the location that Ian lives in, and I'm not going to reveal that either, but the location that he lives in is in an area that has a lot of moisture content in the air. He's going to need to think about dehumidification. he's going to need to address all those issues. So I think it's very important that people understand before we go into the home and try to just slap an air conditioner on it, we need to look at the house itself, seal it up, fix the issues, and then look at replacing the air conditioning system, solving filtration problems and things like that. Obviously, and Ian again understood all of this. Okay, so next thing, if anybody out there is an HVAC contractor, and I've already reached out to some other friends of mine too, but feel free to send me an email if you're an HVAC, a high performance HVAC contractor for the high end residential systems in the Bay Area of Southern California. Send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com, and if I deem it appropriate, I will get you in contact with Ian, because he is looking for a little guidance in this situation. But we are looking for high-end residential companies, basically. Okay, we're not looking for people that are just going to throw a system at it and say this should do it. We're looking for someone that's going to prove that it's going to do it, and then after they're done, they're going to guarantee their work and then prove the results too. Okay, but I've also reached out to some of my other friends too that'll hopefully get us in contact. So but it's very interesting, and we always need to understand that before we start just throwing things at the house, we need to address the issues. Why do they need so much filtration? Is it truly because they have issues, or is it truly because there's just massive amounts of dirty air coming into the home? There's mold issues and different things like that. So if we solve the home problems, the air leakage problems, you know, it changes the way that we address the problems in the filtration. So let's see what we got going on in here. ERVs and HEPA, and that's actually what Ian was asking me about. So Micah says, what's my favorite AC unit to work on? Personally, my favorite air conditioning system to work on would be a Lennox commercial package unit. I love working on the Lennox units. I'm comfortable working on the Carrier package units. Kind of okay working on the York package units. Kind of okay working on Trane package units. But my favorite would be the Lennox. Honestly, the OG L series Lennox units were my favorite. The Prodigy 2 is a nice control strategy. I know Lennox is getting rid of Prodigy 2 and they're going to their new one. I can't remember the name of it. I've watched the videos on it. If you guys haven't seen it, it's very interesting because it's all off your smartphone. Very, very interesting system. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. All right, nothing else. Aeon hands down is what Tyler says. That's really cool. NJ Workshop says R290 needs to be phased out immediately. Too many leaks. I wouldn't even say the problems with R290. I'd say the problems with the poor craftsmanship of the manufacturers that are not putting this equipment together right. Another thing to understand too is manufacturers are cutting back because of the lower pressures of R290. They're changing the quality of copper that they're using, which is leading to issues. This is all in my opinion, by the way, too. But I'm noticing that the quality of the copper that they're using in the new refrigeration systems that they're using R290 with is not the greatest quality copper either. And their braze joints are, you know, just horrible. So I get brand new refrigeration systems from all different brands that come with no refrigerant in them from the factory, that are completely missing a weld, or the welds are goobered up and not even done. They look like they were done by, you know, whatever. I'm not going to go any further with that one. But all right, so I answered that question. Let me cross that one off, and let me cross these other questions off. So I have a list of questions in front of me that I go through and I answer as we're going through. And I talked about that one. You know, I get a lot of questions about this. Why in the heck do I change so many compressor contactors when I'm working on things? Guys, because they're low-hanging fruit. Constantly, compressor contactors are one of the highest failure things that I run into on refrigeration systems and air conditioning systems. So I always attack the contactors, because when you look at them, I mean, the thing is what's the point at when a contactor is good or bad? I mean, it can change. Sometimes contactors can be 30 years old and they last forever, but it also depends on the when they were made too, the era that they were made in. Older contactors made in the 80s, 70s, and early to mid 90s, they lasted a long time. They were using high quality materials, but anything after that, they became throwaway items. They're not rebuildable anymore, and they're just junk. And, you know, there's a bunch of different things they can do. You know, I get questions from European countries all the time. How come we don't use totally enclosed relays, you know, like other countries and stuff? That's a good question. I mean, you know, if it became mainstream and the price point was right, then of course I'd start using those things. But, you know, they're not readily available at local supply houses, and the price point just isn't there to use totally enclosed relays. So let's see what else. HEPA only works if the velocity is 80 to 20 feet per minute, 80 to 120 feet per minute. ULPA velocity must be 60 to 75, and he's saying different velocities. So another thing to understand too, yes, when it comes to filtration such as HEPA, if you're going to go that fine, you know, and get super, super low on the filtration, particle count kind of stuff or whatever, you need to understand that it's not just as simple as throwing a HEPA filter in line with your existing air conditioning system. No. HEPA filtration system's typically going to be designed, the air conditioning system is going to be designed around the filtration system and the air delivery system for sure. So we are talking serious engineering getting involved, and we're not talking small potatoes here. This is going to be big budget jobs that, you know, people are trying to solve real problems. Let's see what else we got in here. Yes, Rita Loy says line contactors used to use silver, and they did. You know, they did used to use silver. You know, and it's very interesting what the materials that people have gone down into. Oh yeah, we've had that happen too. Jared says he's gotten new Linux units that didn't have economizers and things. A lot of the times that comes into the ordering process, but yes, I've gotten that before too. What do I recommend for a smaller Vito bag? I've got this one sitting here. This is the Vito. The names are silly. TPXXL, whatever. I've used it a few times. It's a little big for me. It's kind of neat having the meter stuff on the side. This is a pretty popular small bag. A lot of people, you can keep quite a bit of stuff in there. It's different than the TPXL. I had the TPXL and I gave it to one of my other technicians because it was too small for me. So I got this one. This is a very popular one, but I will say with the base, they've made it a little bit wider on the bottom, but it still can be subject to tipping over a lot. As NorCal Dave calls the TPXL tippy. This one does a little bit better, but it still tips quite a bit. That would probably be my recommendation, is the TPXXL for the smaller form Vito bag. All right, let's see what else we got going on in the chat. How's Luke the lab doing, and how much bigger has he gotten? Here in a little bit, I'll have my family's not home right now. I'll have my family bring him in, and I'll show you guys he's getting huge. So, all right. Chris M says, thanks for the videos. Thank you, Chris, for watching and all your guys' support. I have to say thank you to all you people watching right now, because the support and the views that you give me on these videos is what makes me continue to do them. You know, whether it's just watching, leaving an encouraging comment, giving it a thumbs up, you know, to monetary support, financial, all that different stuff. It's amazing. So it keeps me going, and thank you guys all so very much for all the support of all different kinds that you give. Okay. Let's see what else we got going on in here. Okay. Why is it that in California we don't use heat pumps more? Okay, I get that question quite a bit, actually. Why the heck would we use gas heat? We don't use heat pumps because there's a lot of issues with the heat pumps that goes in. Number one, I'm going to tell you one of the most obvious reasons why we don't use heat pumps a lot is because heat pumps require a different mindset when you're working on them. And to be fair, a lot of people don't understand nor have the patience to work on heat pumps. Okay, a lot of people are afraid and scared of heat pumps. There's more thought process that goes in, and it's going to take some time to get used to them. One of the other reasons we don't use heat pumps very much is because we have a poor energy grid. Now, to be fair, I say that all the time. California has horrible power, all that different stuff. Okay, you have to understand that we have a massive amount of people, right? We're one of the biggest, if not biggest, populated states in the country. I mean, we have a crap ton of people here, and we have a crap ton of people moving here on a daily. So, you know, we have a very unreliable energy grid here. There's a lot of political and technical issues that go into the horrible energy grid. We got rid of our nuclear power plants. We had 2 of them up until recently. Those are both being phased out. We rely on our power coming from hydroelectric power is one of the most common places, and also burning burning fuels, basically burning propane and different things like that. Our natural gas, I should say, we burn natural gas to create electricity. Also, they're trying to phase that stuff down. So in phasing the natural gas burning down, we're reducing the energy coming into the grid. Also, and I know there's a lot of technical issues that go into this too, but also we get a lot of our power from hydroelectricity from the Hoover Dam. And a lot of that, we are in a massive drought. They're restricting the water. They're running into issues with that. So we have a very interesting energy grid and a lot of weird, interesting problems here. So, you know, they've never really pushed heat pumps as much. And we've always done gas, but now they're phasing out gas. So heat pumps are being more popular, but at the same time, we're still having the electricity issues. So it's an interesting dilemma we have, but a lot of people just simply can't work on them. So let's see. Let me see what else we got going on here. California going to catch on fire if they start using heat pumps. Yeah, that's true. Speaking of contactors, any experience with the Sure switch? No, I've never installed a Sure switch. I actually have one sitting in my garage that I've been meaning to put on my home air conditioning system for years. I just never did. What do you guys do with the phased out refrigerant you have recovered? When we have refrigerant, we just take it to the supply house. They send it off to the reclaim company, which essentially just cleans it and then resells it. That's what I do with it. So am I still in a Chevy van? Yes, I still use Chevy vans, and I'm going to continue to use Chevy vans. The last true van out there. Everything else has gone to the Euro vans, and I've heard nothing but problems on the Euro vans. So I prefer the Chevy van. I'm going to hold out until they eliminate them completely. Let's see. Jason Johnson said he was part of the crap ton that moved the living hell out of here. Life is much better not living in this state. That is true. Did I hear no new gas hookups in New York? Electric only, Dave K. Yeah, they're also saying that in the Northern California area and some of the fancier climate areas, they're eliminating natural gas. Berkeley is one of the really yuppie cities, and they've completely phased out natural gas on new installs and stuff. So it's very interesting. They want us to rely. I mean, again, I'm not smart enough to understand all the political crap and everything, but I don't know. I don't know where this is going. They're phasing out generators now. Generators, gas lawnmowers, leaf blowers on commercial, whatever. They're getting rid of all that. It's very interesting. I get it. I mean, I know they want to save the environment and stuff. Let's see. Valactic says, are there better options than contactors in terms of longevity and reliability? Well, you have totally enclosed contactors and or relays, such as like the Sure switch and things like that, that can prevent a lot of the carbon buildup that you get from a contact that's in the open air, just sitting there pulling in and out or putting in and out. You can have hermetically sealed contactors and things. So I'm sure there's good stuff. Yeah, only one nuclear power plant in California, Diablo Canyon. Yeah, and they're talking about phasing that one out too, aren't they, Rita Loy? I thought. Yeah, because they closed down San Onofre power plant, which was local to me in Southern California. They've already closed that one down, and they're currently in the phase down situation of that one. Let's see what else we got going on here. Illegal to smoke in public in Berkeley. Yeah, there's a lot of different rules. It's illegal to smoke in a lot of places in California, actually, in public. All right, so I wanted to address something, and this is an interesting perspective. I get a lot of emails from people all the time, okay? And one of the more common ones, and it's very interesting, and sometimes I have to question, like, why do they keep sending me these emails? I can't tell you how many immigration requests I get, and that's a very interesting dilemma. I get emails from people all around the world saying, I want to learn HVACR. Could you please train me? Would you help me to learn how to immigrate to your country? And unfortunately, I have no idea how to help people with any of that stuff. And that's just a big thing. But what I wanted to reflect on that one, and I've been thinking about this, and you know, I try not to get too crazy on this, but the point I want to make is, you know, here we are in our country, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be upset about this stuff, but I'm just saying, take a step back and look at this, okay? We are so worried about ourselves. We are so worried about crazy stuff going on in our country. And while we should pay attention to our own country. It's just an interesting perspective to think about how many people out there would love to live here, you know? And sometimes I have to remember that stuff, and, you know, it kind of puts things in perspective to remember that there's people all around the world that would give their right arm to move to America. And here we are fighting over some petty things here. So just kind of gives me perspectives on things. I wish I could help people with the immigration requests and stuff, but I have no idea how to do any of that. But let's see what else we got going on here. Is there a certain fan motor for the Linux units? I mean, you always want to try to stay OEM, you know, within the manufacturers. So yeah, with the Linux condenser fan motors, there's OEM specific motors that are designed for the Linux units. Yeah, you can make aftermarket work, but you're just going to have to play with things and change things and rewire things and stuff. So let's see. So I also wanted to talk about, and I get this one a lot, but someone recently sent me a comment on this. In my recent video, I talked about sight glasses, and I did a pause, and I talked about how sight glasses need to be clear on refrigeration systems with expansion valves. I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. If you have a refrigeration system with an expansion valve, it is supposed to have a solid column of liquid going to that expansion valve. That's the way that expansion valves work. Expansion valves don't do a good job when they're feeding vapor. They do a good job when they meter liquid refrigerant and turn it into a vapor liquid mixture, okay? There is a point at which you can, I have seen it happen, you can have an expansion valve that can kind of work when it does have vapor going through it, not a solid column of liquid, but it's not right, okay? But the question or comment that I had recently was someone saying, yeah, try to clear a sight glass when you have a very, very small tin can receiver on the roof and the line set 75 feet long. There's just not enough storage capacity in the receiver to be able to clear the sight glass. And there is truth in that statement. But understand something, systems need to be designed right. And we as technicians have a duty to make sure we inform the customers when their systems are not designed right. The 98 DeVille, thank you so very much for that super chat. Smash the thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. You are awesome, okay? So, you know, it's important to understand that if a refrigeration system is not designed properly, that is sized properly, the refrigeration line sized properly, the receiver, the condenser and everything is sized properly, then there's going to be repercussions. If you try to use an off-the-shelf half horsepower condensing unit that's meant for indoor locations and put it onto the roof and just run a remote line set to it, you're going to run into problems majority of the time because the receivers are meant to be, it's meant to be, you know, a 2-foot line set run, not meant to be 75 feet. So we as technicians have a duty to let our customers know when things are not designed right. It does happen that you go up to a system that you cannot pump it down at the receiver. You cannot front seat the receiver's king valve and expect all the refrigerant to store in the receiver and the condenser on really long line set runs because they weren't designed properly. If the system is designed properly, if we've installed receivers that are big enough, you should be able to pump the system down completely and store the whole refrigerant charge in the receiver and the condenser, okay? So there is truth in the statement from the person that commented about how, you know, it can be a pain to clear a sight glass, but understand that if the system is designed right and for it to work right, our expansion valves on refrigeration systems need to have a solid column of liquid going to it for it to work properly. Okay. So, you know, we have to remember that stuff, and we as technicians have to pay attention to that. You know, my videos are not meant to replace a proper education. A proper education is going to teach you the things you need to do. My videos are a supplement to someone's education, okay? Or someone's, you know, technical skills. They're just there to supplement. I do not put all the information in my videos to explicitly teach people from point A to Z, you know, how to do things. Blue on commercial. That's funny. All right, let's see. What is the process most effective for troubleshooting refrigeration, walk-in cooler, and freezer? Jose, first off, before you start to troubleshoot them, you need to understand the sequence of operation of said piece of equipment. It doesn't matter what you're working on. You need to understand how it's supposed to work. When you turn on the thermostat or the temperature controller, this happens. Then this happens. Then this happens, okay? Understanding that first, understanding if the system was designed properly. Someone sent me an email or a comment or whatever, I don't remember where, and it said, how am I supposed to know what refrigerant pressure should be depending on what flavor of refrigerant, right? Because we have so many different flavors, so many different types of refrigerant. What should the pressures be? Well, that is a very vague question, and I can't really give you an informed answer without knowing a lot more details. You know, we need to know how the system was designed. All right. Clint Glasgow, thank you so very much for that super chat. That is amazing. And I'm humbled by it. Thank you very much for all the support, everybody. You guys are awesome. So, you know, we have to know how the system was designed. Now that can be tricky. So you have to use some rules of thumb in evaluating things. But, you know, people ask me all the time, well, you know, when they're looking at my refrigerant pressures, let's just say this, okay? let's say I have a refrigeration system, and I'll give you guys details about this example, but I was working on a refrigeration system this weekend, or this last Friday, and it turned into a disaster. It's going to be a video eventually, but it was epic. It was huge. It was a pain in the butt. But when I went to go start the system up, I noticed that the pressures were not right. And they just seemed really, really low on the suction side. The evaporator temperature was really low. But something to consider was this location was out in the Southern California desert. It can be 115 degrees in the summertime. So they size the equipment for the extreme ambient conditions typically. So even if they didn't size it for 115, let's just say they sized it for 105 degrees, okay? It is a 3 horsepower condensing unit, all right? At 115 degrees, a 3 horsepower condensing unit is only going to put out, you know, let's say, I don't know, 30,000 BTUs. I don't know. You know, I mean, it could be just a number, but to understand the point I'm trying to make, in the high ambient conditions, it's going to put out a lesser amount than in the low ambient conditions. The low ambient conditions, that condenser just gets bigger and bigger because now it's massively oversized. When a condensing unit is massively oversized, that can affect the performance of the evaporator downstairs. So if they were designing it to run with a 10-degree TD, but now you have a giant compressor on the roof that is just pulling that refrigerant back up, and the refrigerant doesn't have time to do the proper heat transfer in the evaporator, you're going to have efficiency issues with that equipment, okay? And that was part of my problem. So it's important for us technicians to understand, you know, what's going to happen to a system like that particular system because it has such extreme temperature swings. In this desert climate that I'm talking about, they go from 115 degrees in the summer to 25 degrees lowest temperature, maybe 20 degrees in the winter. And that's an extreme temperature swing right there. And the efficiency of the unit is really going to change. And it's so important to understand too that we're going to have capacity control and different things like that. It would be a perfect situation for like a digital scroll compressor that's going to unload and slow down in certain ambience and different things, but they don't have that. They just have an off-the-shelf refrigeration system. So you run into issues. So understanding things like I just explained, knowing that it's not always going to be perfect and how to compensate appropriately for that is very important. Okay. Let's see what else. Let's see. Micah, he's saying I pretty much only use OEM replacements. Yeah, I typically try to stay OEM as much as possible. What sort of compressor do I have to get for a Lennox AC unit? I mean, it just depends, bud. Whatever they design the equipment with. Lennox uses all different brands. I've seen Lennox using Tecumseh, Lennox using Copeland, Lennox using LG. I've seen all different types of compressors and Lennox equipment. So it just depends on what they designed it with. You can definitely get aftermarket replacements, but obviously you want to stay within factory specs as much as possible. All right. Let me see what I'm missing in here. Have I ever worked on a 1-ton mini split? I'm sure I have. I don't have any cool stories to tell about them, but I'm sure I've turned out them. So kind of talking about what I was just alluding to. I'm not going to spoil the whole video, but what happened was on Friday, I went to go do a service call. I thought it was going to be an easy call, of course, and it unloaded, and it turned into an epic disaster where I was there for 9 hours. My apprentice was there for 4 hours, and this is all billable time. And it was just a simple, I have a fan motor not working on my evaporator. That's all that they called about. But, you know, I'm there to look at everything, right? I'm going to own this system when I'm done with it. So I was looking at everything, and it just turned into one thing after another that even led to a point where I said, all right, I got to put my hands up, and I got it working, not efficiently and not properly. I got it working. And I finally, because I was doing a lot of this without even getting the upper management involved, because I know what I can do and I know what has to be done. But it got to the point where I said, all right, I need to stop putting money into this equipment because they got to make some big decisions here. And that's how bad it got. I got it operating. They're going to be fine. But boy, did it. I mean, that bill just kept climbing into the thousands and thousands. And I'm like, all right, I got to start asking for permission because I have a lot of leeway with some of my customers, especially this one. I have a lot of leeway, but I even got to the point where I was like, all right, I can't do anything else without asking permission because this is getting insane. So, again, thank you so much, you guys, all these super chats. I don't know if I'm missing them or not. I see things popping in. I appreciate the very nice words, Micah. That's very, very awesome. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, I wanted to talk about this one. So someone had left a comment on one of my videos. I know the commenter. I know of the commenter. He's a retired technician, used to work for a manufacturer, and he made a comment that he's blown away when I start using my digital gauges. Obviously, he's an older tradesman, and you know, he's blown away when I start using my digital gauges. And he made a comment that they do everything but write up the invoice. And if you think the equipment can't write up the invoice too, you're actually a little ill-informed, because there is programs out there that will write up invoices and have invoicing built into them too. So it's amazing, the technology out there. But understanding something, that when we are working with you know, all these new tools and digital tools and everything, it's also really important that we understand how to interpolate the data, because digital tools can be inaccurate too if sensors aren't put in the right places, temperature clamps aren't where they're supposed to be, and they can give you inaccurate information. So it's very important. Let's see. Laska says, we need a meme of me saying it's billable time in the likes of it's free real estate. That's funny. All right. Let me see. Where's the thing behind me, that weird looking tower looking thing? That is a crane. That is a mobile crane that my daughter built for me. Let's see if I can grab it without breaking it. Notice that it's holding an expansion valve. So this is a full mobile crane. It's a Lego Technique crane. It's actually really cool because you can operate everything. You can operate the boom. You can make the hoist go up and down. You can do everything with it. So, you know, I've gotten a lot of comments too about my camera angles and how they're focused on, you know, the wrong thing. More of my face should be in it. But I actually put that stuff back there to be conversation pieces. So that way people ask questions. What's that? What's that? Because it gives context, or it gives, not context, but it gives content to the stream sometimes. You know, people ask me a question. It's like, oh yeah, that's a cool Lego Technique crane, you know? So let's see what else we got going on in here. Hello to everybody that's in here. It's really awesome to see everybody in here. Ooh, this is a great question too that I got. So why I 3 weeks ago, I made a video about an exhaust fan that wasn't working and it had a bad motor, and it was a utility style fan, and I had to change a motor on it, and the exhaust fan had a belt. And someone asked a great question. They said, why in the heck in this day and age do we have exhaust fans that still have belts on them? Okay. And that is a great question. And I'm going to tell you my honest answer with that one. So there is a massive push to get rid of belts on equipment, air conditioners, to go direct drive. You have the ability to have motors that have, you know, direct drive capabilities, and you don't have to have a belt, because a belt is a consumable item, right? Belts go bad. They have to be changed. Honestly, though, there's some good and bad things to having direct drive equipment. Okay. So manufacturers are going to want direct drive equipment all day long, and they're pushing the heck out of it. Okay. Because what these manufacturers do is they actually reach out to the motor manufacturers, and they say, hey, we need this motor made for our particular motor cabinet that is an OEM only motor. Okay. So I have an exhaust fan company that you have to buy their OEM direct drive exhaust fan motors, because they're specifically made for them. It's not an off the shelf item that you can go pick up at a supply house. So I actually don't like the push to go all direct drive on our motors and different things, because I now have a customer that has no redundancy built into their exhaust fan system, and they lose one exhaust fan of the two, and now they have to shut the doors to their restaurant because they can't operate without exhaust fan. It's not a, hey, I need to go run down the street to the motor shop and pick up a motor and put it in. When you have a lot of these direct drive fans, there's no aftermarket replacements. You have to go OEM. So you either stock them in your shop, or you make sure that the local supply houses stock them, which is almost impossible. So I'm not a fan of going all direct drive. Then with the direct drive stuff, you know, if you have a motor with pulleys and sheaves and whatever on it, you can adjust the speed of the exhaust fan by opening and closing the pulleys, the motor pulleys, right? Well, you can't do that with direct drive. So what you do is you put speed controllers on the motors. They usually have variable speed drives, and they can slow down and speed up the motors, but those can be problematic too. In my situation, I'm currently have an exhaust fan system out there that has a direct drive 480 volt motor starter. It's not ideal situations. It's running extremely high static pressure. I've made some videos about this exact exhaust fan too. And when it was raining last week, we had a ground fault trip on the variable frequency drive. And I tore that thing apart, could not find a direct short anywhere. I even got my megger out and couldn't find a direct short. So, you know, we're running into these weird issues too. And it's unfortunate because I can't go get a motor. I can't just do anything. You got to order OEM everything. Excuse me. All right. What's the black box on top of my merch cubed? You're just wondering. The black box is a Simpson 260 meter. That was my dad's electric meter from back in the day. Honestly, I can probably tell you, even nowadays, that's probably one of the most accurate meters that I could have compared to most of my digital meters too. You can do volts, amps, everything with it. It's an amazing meter. And then next to that is a compressor analyzer. Before we had modern capacitor testers and different things like that, I'm able to take that compressor analyzer for single phase compressors or even three phase, well, single phase with that one. And I'm able to replace the starting components with that compressor analyzer. It has starting components in it, and you're able to test fire compressors to get them to start up before you drive all the way to the supply house to order and or pick up starting components. So none of those tools did I use, nor did I use this dial-a-charge back here, which is basically kind of replaced when modern day highly accurate scales came out. But that was a way to charge refrigeration systems with very minimal charge that were critically charged. So let's see what else. Let's see. John Cruz, you're hitting the hard stiff drinks tonight. I'm hitting my brown ale right here. Yep, that's a Simpson 260, Glenn. All right, let's see what else. It looks old but cool. Yeah, it's really neat. I like collecting old tools like that. I've had viewers and stuff. You know, I'm going to start doing this. I actually don't really talk about this very often because I kind of felt weird about it for a while. But I get people sending me cool stuff all the time. I think I'm going to start showing it on the videos or something like that, or release a video on Instagram or something like that once a week of stuff that people are sending to me, because people send stuff to my P.O. box all the time. I just don't really address it. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. So I'll start making an effort on that in the next year too. I need to write that one down. Maybe making a thing where, you know, I release a video showing what someone sent me or whatever. So I already answered that question. Let's go ahead to my next one here real quick. Let me see really quickly. You know, in my recent video where it had an evaporator fan motor switch, and I said that the fan switch wasn't tied into the solenoid valve. So if they shut off the switch, that could be part of the problem too. So in that video, why in the heck did I not just remove the switch? I have done that in the past. I usually give it a chance. If I find someone shutting off a fan switch that was already there when I started doing the work, I'll usually give them one chance, and then if I find them doing it again and it leading me to a service call, I'll usually yank it out and then tell the customer it's got to go, or it's got to be rewired to where it properly shuts the system down. In my situation, when they shut off the fan switches on that equipment, it doesn't shut down the refrigeration system or the solenoid valves downstairs, or upstairs, which is just dumb, and it can lead to compressor failures. But I'm not in a habit of replacing or cutting out parts, without usually giving it an opportunity. Same thing with these 2-speed fans. I talked about that in my recent video too. And I run into those quite often. I'm not in the habit of getting rid of the 2-speed fan situation until we start having problems. A lot of the new equipment these days, refrigeration equipment, it's, federal guidelines, they have to be energy efficient. So they come with 2-speed fans. But honestly, there's not a good solution to way that they operate the 2-speed fans on the medium temperature refrigeration walk-ins, because the fans usually fail safe to low speed when they're in defrost, which is just kind of dumb. They need to be on high speed. So at least in my area, they do. So, I'm not a fan of that. But if we start having issues, then I'll typically rip that out and then just go to a standard fan running all the time with ECM motors. So it's still efficient. So I already answered that question. Let me get down to my last one. Yeah, so that one's that. I already answered that one. Let me just go through my list of things to make sure that I've talked about this stuff. I already answered that one. I already did that one. Cool. All right, so let's get to the chat right now. What am I missing? How to cope with pineapple parties gone wrong. Oh, that's too funny. Hold on just one sec. texting my wife right now. All right. Let me see. When am I going to go play with the big boys and move to heavy commercial? PD Fly. Man, moving to heavy commercial for me would probably involve shutting my company down and going to work for someone. And that's a hard band-aid to pull off right there, because I do enjoy working for myself on some aspects of things. So I don't know, man. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I'm interested in it for sure. Glenn Whitlock, what's the best meter on the market? Glenn, it really depends on what you need from your meter. I mean, are you working on heavy industrial that you have to have scientific grade meters, or are you working on standard refrigeration and air conditioning? For me, I work on light commercial refrigeration and air conditioning, so I keep a Fieldpiece SC480 in my bag, and it's my go-to meter. I love it. I have fancy Fluke meters. I have Fluke Megers and different things like that, but I don't carry those for my everyday carry. For my everyday carry, it's a Fieldpiece SC480, and it does wonders for me, for what I deal with. So it really depends on what you're working on, man. For everybody that celebrates it, Merry Christmas to all of you guys, and Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope that you get to spend time with your family. This is a great time of the year. Hopefully we get to reflect on how privileged and lucky we are to have petty problems like most of us have, right? Because here I am complaining that, you know, this or that, when in the grand scheme of things, that's not really a problem. It's just a petty inconvenience to most people. So let's see what else. How often do I have a pineapple party? Never had a pineapple party, Jesus. What's my favorite food to eat? My favorite food to eat. Tacos, man. Living in Southern California, growing up with a very, very big Hispanic culture in the area that I live in, a very big Hispanic population. I've grown up eating, lots of Hispanic food, and tacos has to be one of my favorite go-to meals for everything. I love a good hot sauce, not hot sauce what people in the South would consider hot sauce. I like a good salsa, I guess I should say. I just love Mexican food in general. Hispanic food in general is my favorite thing. So happy Festivus. There you go. To all the Seinfeld fans, for sure. Happy Festivus. Happy Festivus, or Festivus for the rest of us, or whatever the phrase was. I don't remember. Yeah, let's not go there. Let's see, Jason Johnson, Fluke 1507. Yeah, I have the Fluke 1587, which the only difference is, I think, is the Fieldpiece Connect and maybe the VOM meter also, or something like that. But it's basically the same thing. So, although I did run into a problem with my Fluke 1587 the other day when it was about 40 degrees outside. I was trying to meg a motor out, and it was a 480 volt motor, and I was trying to meg it at 1,000 volts, and I couldn't. The meter would not output 1,000 volts. And I was kind of curious if it was because it was so cold and maybe the batteries weren't working right, because the only output that the meter would do was like 150 volts, and that was it, no matter what you would switch it to. But then when hold on just a sec. Oh, look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Look at this guy. Look at how big he is, man. Look at this guy. What's up, buddy? What's up? Yeah, this guy is huge now. Oh. For those that don't know, this is my dog, Luke. He is 2 months old, and he's getting huge. So, yeah, giant dog for sure. He's going to be a big boy, too. He's probably going to be about 80, 85 pounds. He's a silver Labrador retriever. He's not a Weimaraner. So, what's my ethnic background? Majority European is majority of my ethnic background. Jesus. Did I try turning it off and turning it on again? Yeah, I did, Laska. But it was actually, I think it had to do with the battery, because I've actually got it sitting right here, and I bench tested it the other day when it was warm, and it's working fine, getting 1,000 volts out of it all day long. So, all right, let's see what else. Yeah, I tried it all. So, see what I'm missing in here. My website shows gray hats in the picture. Dude, I switched to gray. Or can I still get... No, I only have black hats, bud. Are you talking about hvacrvideos.com? Yeah, I only have black hats. I don't have gray. So it's only black. Let's see what else. All right. All right. Well, guys, it is time for me to wrap this one up. Thank you so very much for all the super chats. For everybody out there, I hope you guys have an amazing holiday. I will be releasing a couple videos in between before the holiday. Luke, I think, needs to go to the bathroom. He's whining at me. I don't know if I'm going to be on my normal video schedule. I might be taking a day off here and there. But stay tuned. We'll have some videos out there. Got some special videos coming out and stuff, so should be cool. Really, really appreciate you. Let's go ahead and close this one out before my dog takes a crap on my floor. And I got to get him out to the bathroom. That's one thing about dogs, is they like to use the bathroom on the floor if you don't pay attention to them. So I'm going to cue up the outro music. And, oh, that's right. Yeah, Joe T. I did say this one about the dentist. I will address that one real quick. Hold on just one second. Let me get someone to come grab the dog real quick. Someone will come get him in a minute. So I wanted to say my whole little dentist story. So I had said something in the beginning, Joe T. So many years ago, before the stream started, guys, there was a chat going on and people were talking about the dentist. And I said I had a funny dentist story. So I was at the dentist many, many years ago. And it was a new dentist, and I was laying in the dentist chair, and he told me to lean my head back and open my jaw, obviously, so they can, you know, whatever. And I did that, and then he said, go ahead and close your jaw, and I couldn't. Found out that I actually have, like, this whole jaw thing where my jaw locked. And hold on just one second. Here you go. Go ahead and take it. Thank you. So my jaw actually locked open. I have, like, TMJ or something like that. But it was the weirdest feeling in the world. Because, and I figured out that it's only when I lay inverted and when I open my mouth, it actually double clicks and it'll get stuck. And so the dentist, I'm sitting here like, my jaw won't close. You know, my mouth is wide open, and he had to stick his hand in the back of my mouth, grab the back of my teeth, and he said, don't bite me. And he pulled down and got my jaw to come back around. And it was the weirdest crackle and pop I'd ever heard before. But yeah, I'm standing there with my jaw completely locked open, scared the crap out of me. I don't know if that was a funny story or just a cool dentist story, but yeah, ever since then I learned not to hyperextend my jaw when I'm in a dental chair, because no, it was not a nude dentist. So oh, that's too funny. But anyways, all right, I'm going to cue up the outro music. I really appreciate you guys, and Merry Christmas to all that celebrated, Happy Holidays, whatever it is, and we will catch you on the next one.